Joining me in conversation today are two very prominent Bangladeshi personalities. They're a couple who really established themselves not only in the media industry but also in the business and political industry in Bangladesh. Here with me today to talk about their careers and a bit about the Bangladeshi economy, politics, media is Mr. Anisul Haq and his lovely wife, Ms. Rubana Haq. Thank you very much for joining us. It's a very short holiday. I know you're here in Sri Lanka for a very short time, but thank you very much for taking your time and coming to talk to us. I'll start with you, Rubana. You and your husband were both in the media industry. You were both presenters. Just talk to me a little bit about the media industry in Bangladesh and your career in the media industry.
Well, we hardly have careers in the media industry now, but we met as presenters 40 years ago. And he used to present a lot of programs, so did I. He was much more popular than I was. And so we met and we settled. We had our own business, and here we are today.
And you have made a name for yourself in Bangladesh as a very prominent business reporter and a journalist, and you write for a lot of columns in a lot of daily newspapers. Talk to me a little bit about how it is reporting in Bangladesh.
I don't qualify as a journalist, and certainly not as an electronic media journalist, but I do write for the print media and for an online site. Media in Bangladesh is relatively free. I use the word relative because freedom is always relative. But we are pretty free over there. We voice our opinions out. There are no such bars on media, but we could do a lot more. A lot more responsible reporting can happen, which we sort of miss out on in current situation.
And in the media industry, what sort of role does the English media play? Because Bangladesh has a vast population, and what's the setup like in the media industry? What are the English channels? How many English channels do you have, and how many Bengali channels do you have?
We actually don't have any English channel. We have a channel which, well, a couple of channels which air English news every now and then. Pardon me. But as such, we don't have any English-based channels. We have a lot of English dailies, which are in English, of course. I wouldn't say the readership is awesome. So, I think the main concentration is still Bangla media.
But the newspapers have a wider circulation among the English audience.
The English audience or readership is still very restricted and limited. So, in real terms, actually, I don't think there's much readership. Apart from one newspaper, which basically attracts readership, I don't think the others are doing very well. But Bangla newspapers are always very widely read and very popular.
And Rubana, you've done a lot of work with creating a regional-based TV channel, which was TV South Asia. It actually was aired on our channel as well, MTV Sports. What was the difficulties you faced in creating a regional TV channel, which was something new for this part of the world that we live in?
I must add that SARC did attempt to create a channel. Well, not a channel, but at least a collaboration called SAVE, South Asian Visual Exchange, which failed miserably because it was done by governments. It was a collaborative venture of the governments. As far as we were concerned, we were a few private entities trying to put together a regional platform which could give an independent voice to the region. We took off pretty well. It was aired from Kolkata, uplinked from Kolkata, and very well supported from Sri Lanka, Pakistan, Nepal, and of course India. The main hurdles basically was on funding, because they were all private channels trying to put together collaborative venture, which was very challenging. Content was very challenging because even in your channels you have great programs, but the language was a difficulty. So we had to sort of para-dub or redo the whole thing. So there was a lot of editing required. Also, we couldn't have news on real time from here, from Sri Lanka. We could have real time from Pakistan. Arch TV was the collaborator there. And the other countries we could, but not from Sri Lanka. So that was a major handicap. even then, the channel still exists. It's only seen in India in a few parts. Commercially, it wasn't a success because we really didn't have time to pitch for the channel commercially. But content-wise, I think it was a great venture. I think South Asian television should be on air. I think a regional electronic medium should be very, very encouraged in this part of the world, because as South Asians, we are truly moving forward, and there should be no reason why we cannot collaborate in an electronic media platform.
And Anisul Haq, you too were in the media industry. As Rubana said, how would you see the Bangladesh media industry today from what it was when you were in the industry?
Well, I was a small host, not a big star like you. First, let me thank you and the channel, your great channel, which is so popular in Sri Lanka, for interviewing us. As I was telling you that I was not a great personality in the media industry, I was just presenting some programs. Okay, that was only one channel which was telecasting today, and that was a government channel in the 80s and 90s. Today, Bangladesh has over 30 channels, where all 29 are private, except one channel. Okay, two channels from the government. One is BTV and another is BTV World. So today the focus is completely different, and as she told you that channels are comparatively free, I mean media is comparatively free, print media is also free. Whatever they do, especially channels, they do their own editing, or just they control by themselves. There is no written regulations to control news or other programs. But today, in a country like ours or in a country like yours, where media is more stronger sometimes than the parliament, same happens in our country too, that media plays the role of the conscious of the people, and that's so important in Bangladesh too. And I could also see it here in Sri Lanka, that media is playing a very substantial role to make people aware what is happening in the country, especially this Maharaja television group, that everywhere we hear the boldness and neutrality of this television. And in our country also, I think media is playing a very strong role.
And when you talk about the strong role of the media, and the media being the sort of conscience of a nation, I think the most difficult thing for the media is to deal with political influences, to deal with a lot of interferences that happen. How do you think a media should really deal with these special political?
I mean, if you ask me, I would say that media should not be absolutely free. Then most of the media, there is a chance that it becomes yellow media, that we have seen also in our country. So there should be some unwritten, at least shade on the media, that this should be telecasted and this shouldn't be telecasted. Whatever media is controlling themselves in our country is by self-imposing mindset. And still I think media, Bangladesh is quite freer than many countries in the world. You can see it also, I believe, in India too. And today if you see India, the government is thinking to put some regulations, because some of the medias are so so loud and sometimes not so justifiable. So I think it happens in every country, and Bangladesh is no exception than that.
I would like to add there, if I may. I think Bangladesh, the media in Bangladesh is heavily corporatized now, and it's also politicized. With the current government there have been lots of channels which have come up, which have a political color. So, media is certainly not above political influence in Bangladesh, and it's certainly not above corporate influence either. So the very neutral character of media is, I think, to a certain extent compromised in our country at the current moment. So, and as he rightly pointed out, that there's a lot of self-censorship, so the shades of censorship also vary from media to media. So it's very difficult to gauge exactly what's happening, because they all have different colors.
But again, there is a competition, internal competition. If your media is very, strong and loud and neutral, some other media gets affected by that. That's why this sort of good competition comes up, and strong voice comes up.
Well, we'll be speaking more about the sort of careers that Anisul Haq and Rubana Haq are pursuing, and especially about their business, which also is a prominent source for the Bangladeshi economy. That's coming up after this commercial break. Stay with us.